Some of the things that were guiding my goals were to make it as simple to use as possible, both for letting students add content and share it, as well as giving students feedback on the elements that were put into their portfolio, the content that they were creating. I wanted to make sure it was adaptive so that I wasn't locking students and myself into a particular set of activities and procedures at the beginning of the year, and that it couldn't be easily edited and changed throughout the year. And that ultimately that portfolio would function very easily as a formative and a summative assessment. I don't give tests or exams in my class, but the end result, what the portfolio looks like at the end of the class, is their summative assessment, and as they're building their portfolio, it functions as a formative assessment. This is what the slides-based portfolio for this class look like. Obviously, you can build it to look however you want. There's an intro slide, there's a table of contents, and when the slides are actually viewed, these are links that can go back and forth throughout the portfolio. And even if students move these slides around, these links will still exist so that students can easily find, and I can easily find their materials. The way I started out this year was by creating that template before class started, and in Google Classroom, assigning the intro slide as their first assignment and linking the portfolio template to that assignment so that when they click on it, it creates a copy of that template for each student. And then their first assignment is to turn in that intro slide. As we go through the trimester, they're going to attach their portfolio to the assignment itself, and they'll just keep turning that portfolio in over and over and over again. So that way I'm not creating new content for them. I'm not creating new slides and then having to merge slides together to make a portfolio. They're using that same portfolio in Google Drive to just keep attaching it and turning it in, attaching it and turning it in with each progressive assignment. I wanted it, as I said, to be easy for students to add content. And so I came up with a few free add-ons that they can use to add high quality visual content that forces them to think through what it is that they're documenting. Obviously, they can easily add pictures, but I wanted them to be able to do more than add pictures. If your students are able to start and record a Google Meet, then that is a very easy way for them to add videos into their portfolio, because once they finish recording the Google Meet, it's automatically saved to their Google Drive, and they can just go to insert video, and that video is there in Google Drive. If they don't have access to that, I came up with other ways to do sort of video-based add-ons directly in Google Slides. My goal was for them to have as few steps as possible to actually create this content. So you can see here I have two types of content that work really well together. This is animated GIF files that are made using the webcam of the student's own laptop, and then also audio that is recorded to explain what's in the animated GIF file. And these are two free add-ons, and I'm going to quickly demonstrate them both. The first one is to make these animated GIF files is an add-on up here. If you go to get add-ons, it's called Bjorn Selfie Cam. It's free and it works fairly simply, but has a lot of options. And so when you click start, it'll bring up this dialog, and you can take a selfie. So you can just take a single image if you want, a still image. They can hold an object up in front of the webcam and take a picture of it, or they can record a selfie video. And when they do that, they have a few options. One, the number of frames and the time between frames. So obviously at 1/10 of a second, 10 frames, that's a 1 second video. That's not going to give me much time to actually demonstrate anything. So, you know, a 10-second video might be more useful. And so when they're ready, you can just hit record, and it's going to tell you what percentage. So it's basically taking a whole lot of still shots, and it's going to take that, and you can see I basically tilted my screen down and recorded what was going on in front of the webcam. And that could be an item that they've created. It could be something that they want to show. It could be, you know, how they work through a math problem. And if I like that, I can hit OK. If I want to record it again, try another one, I can hit record again. There are various little effects that you can put onto this, but ultimately you're going to hit insert and close. It's going to put that animated GIF file right onto the slide that you were editing in your Google Slide. So you don't even have to leave Google Slides in order to do that. You can just, pop it open, drop it in, and there it is on the screen. We can move it around. We can resize it. And it's a pretty simple, easy way to get a little bit of video, and you don't even have to click the play button when you view that in your Google Slide. So that's the first thing, making the animated GIF files, Bjorn Selfie Cam. The second is adding the audio content, and that's another free resource that you can do. It comes a little bit differently through the Google Apps Marketplace. And so if you scroll down, you can search more from G Suite Marketplace. And what you're looking for is this cloud audio recorder. There are two options, and you want the one that has this little microphone. And basically that opens up a new tab and very simply allows you to start recording audio. And so when I click start, it's going to record. You can see it's recording the volume right here. It's got the duration. If I want to pause, right, I've forgotten what I want to say, I can pause and collect my thoughts and then continue recording as if I didn't stop. And then when I'm done, I can click stop. I have the option to export as an MP3 or a WAV. You're going to select MP3 and we're going to save it to Google Drive. I'm going to change its file name here. Click change and then save to Google Drive. It doesn't actually matter where you save this for the next step, but I do recommend making a folder for students where they are going to drop in all their materials, and that way they're just adding their audio files to the same folder every time, because it saves the location of where you last used that folder. So now I come back to my portfolio slide and I come to Insert and Audio. And the most recent file is going to be what you just recorded. You want to make sure to turn the link sharing on so that other people who have access to view the portfolio don't need to send a request to get the link, and it will put the audio right here. And I can make that bigger, move it to where I want it to go, and hear the audio. So the next thing that I wanted to make sure was that it was easy to add feedback. Obviously, because it's a Google slide, I can insert comments attached to any of the bits of content that students are using. And I can also, because I'm having them graded in Google Classroom, I can insert comments there. And I also wanted to be able to add video comments and audio comments, because it takes me a long time to write detailed comments, particularly when it's not a specific thing that may need to get changed. It may be a concept that, hey, you might want to think about this, or when you showed me this thing and it got me to wondering what would happen if you tried it this way. That can take a long time to write that feedback. So being able to record that feedback, or even do a screencast of where you're identifying things, could be very helpful to me. So I actually shelled out a little bit of money for the e-comments extension, and I'll just show that real quickly so that you can see whether that's useful to you and worth paying for. So the e-comments extension is simply shows up in your extension bar in Chrome, and then when you turn that on, you get this little button here that allows you to show the comments. When you first get it, there are lots of comments related to writing and pre-made comments. You can save and store comments in different categories. For me, I mostly am interested in using the audio, the video, and screencast comment. And I'm actually going to do a screencast comment right now. So if I click on that, I can select what I'm going to record, and I'm going to start recording. And when I do that, I can actually click on things. They can see my mouse, so I can say, this moment right here where you're using that switch, I like the design of this, or whatever it is that you want to do. Here's your parallel circuit. I like how you did this or that. And then when you're done, you can click stop recording. And it inserts it there as a link to a video that's going to be in Google Drive. So the student can click on that and go watch your video comment. This takes a little bit of time for that video to process, but you can see an example. Here's some feedback that I gave to a
To
student's
comment and
project.
say, great work on this. I like that everything is contained into one piece, even though, and you did it on.
Now, the last part of this that was tricky to figure out is the idea that if I have created this template for the portfolio at the beginning of the year, beginning of the class, and that class changes, right? Particularly in hybrid remote learning, sometimes you have to adjust what it is that you were planning to do, and you may want to add something that's different. So is there a way to easily add slides? You might have, 30, 40 more portfolios, separate portfolios, and how do I don't want to have to copy slides individually into every single one of those portfolios. And sometimes it's very hard to share a single slide and say, all right, students, here, take this slide, copy all the content, make a new slide in your portfolio, put that on there. So is there an easy way to add content to the portfolio so that it's related to what you're actually talking about and is adjustable based on what's come up in class? And so this is another extension that I paid very small amount for, a lifetime license. And I would highly recommend. This is kind of, I think, essential to making this process work. And that is called the slip in slide extension. And so this is a different set of slides that I'm building throughout the year. These are reflection slides. And so this is a separate Google slide altogether. But once I have created the reflection slide, I'm going to go to add-ons, and you can see I have another slip in slide, and you can pick the folder that you want this slide to be added to. Every single Google slide that is in that folder. Doesn't matter how much they've changed from the original template. You're going to be able to just add this slide or a number of slides into that portfolio. And you can see MakerLab Portfolio Introduction slide. That is a folder that was generated by Google Classroom when the portfolio was created in the first place, when they fulfilled that original introduction slide assignment in Google Classroom. So that's this folder that I selected in Google Drive, and I just leave that in there. And when I'm ready, I can hit slip slides into the MakerLab portfolio slide folder. And it's going to ask me which one. I can just do the current slide, or I can start with a particular number and then choose an end number. And when that's all done, I would hit, I want to put it at the end or at the beginning, and then you would hit slip in slide, and it would take that one slide from your Google slide and it would add it to every single slide deck that was in that folder. Here is a sample portfolio, and you can see I added that reflection slide to the end of the portfolio, and I just create an assignment that says, go to the last slide that was inserted in your portfolio and do the activity that's listed there. And then again, they find that assignment in Google Classroom and they attach the portfolio that they're building throughout the year into that assignment, and all of the reflection slides are in their portfolio. So anything new that I come up with or think about, or anything that needs to be adjusted throughout the class, I can just create a new slide, put that in there, and they can use that more specifically to what is actually coming up and happening in class, not completely locked into the template that I came up with before the beginning of the class even started and I got to know any of the students and their interests. So this way I can keep it sort of adaptable, and it can continue to be a formative assessment for them that is actually growing with the class and adjusting based on what the class is doing. And at the end, it's all one document. They turn it in. We don't have a final exam, as I said, so they turn in the final version of their portfolio is their final assessment for the class, and they can continue improving it and changing it and adding to it throughout the entire class. But at the very end of the trimester, the very end of the course, that's what they have to show, showing all of their accomplishments, all of their challenges, all of their feedback, all of their reflections in one Google Slide portfolio.